Welcome to episode 2 of our Aero project. So today we're going to be talking about the 3 different Aero pieces that we tried out in the car. One of them actually saved us quite a bit of time. But first, I want to talk GM because you guys have got to quit ripping us off. Because these 1LE dive planes look awfully familiar. But the joke's on you, GM, because they don't work. No, seriously, we tried them tucked up against the fenders. We didn't actually take them off because the dive planes are a structural member for that air dam. They actually help hold it in place. Without them there, it bends back. And so we tried them tucked up against the fenders so that they weren't catching any air. And then we tried them splayed out so that they would catch a lot more air. And there was zero discernible difference in lap times, front end grip feel, anything that we could find. So as best we can tell, they don't make any difference. Maybe we just need an actual wind tunnel to get a better idea of how they work, but they do an excellent job of supporting the air dam, so we left them on the car. Next is the biggest disappointment of this test. We built this sweet under tray, and it ran from the air dam all the way back to the transmission, and I took a bunch of pictures of the under tray on a Viper ACR, right? If you're gonna copy somebody, copy the best. And I did my absolute best to get all the shapes and everything else just like that. But the sad truth is when we went to test it at NCM West during the LS Fest, it was costing us time. I don't know why that is. When I took it off though, I noticed that it was dragging on the ground. And so I don't know if it just wasn't stiff enough, if we didn't have it mounted well enough back by the transmission, and it was getting sucked down, dragging on the road. But the fact is it was costing us lap time, so we took it off the car. And lastly is our most successful Aero piece, and this one absolutely blew my mind. We first tested it on autocross, and then just based off feel, I was like, there's no way that it's producing this much downforce at 60 miles an hour, that it was actually almost lifting the front end up. Like you could feel that the front end had zero grip with that rear spoiler on there. So we went to NCM to test it out, and our goal with this test, because we hate the way that the automotive press out there starts with a theory and then they just cherry pick data to support that theory. Our goal was to disprove the effectiveness of that rear wing. So what we did is we took one day to just set the car up, just do practice laps, get a feel for shock settings and tire pressures and stuff like that. And then the second day, we gave the car in its clean configuration the best opportunity to do a fast lap. So we gave it that first cold morning run in the clean configuration. And the fastest the car could go was a 128.6. The car was really loose, very much like its Nürburgring setup. For this test, it's on 295, 315 Toyota R888, a little bit of a stagger. Then, for the next session, we put the spoiler back on, we readjusted the shock settings for the high downforce setup, and went out and lapped the car again. The lap times were a 226.18 for the first flyer, which, with the tires a little bit warmer, the second flyer was a 226.63. So undoubtedly, like worse conditions. So the car should have been probably a high 125. So a solid 2 seconds a lap faster with that spoiler. And as huge a difference as that is, and I mean, 2 seconds a lap is a massive difference. That doesn't even begin to represent how different the car felt. With the spoiler on there, it completely cured brake hop. I think that's where a lot of the time came from, because it gave me the ability to attack corners in a way that I was never able to in the Firebird, because I was always afraid of that brake hop. And the car would just do these just amazing four-wheel drifts on the way into corners, and on the way out, the car put down power like it never has before. I don't know how to put this in perspective other than to compare it to the Z06. So the Firebird with no wing on it, right? The biggest difference between that and the Z06 is how well the rear end puts down power, especially over bumps coming out of a corner. Conversely, with the spoiler on it, the Firebird is an even bigger leap above the Z06 as far as how well it puts down power out of a corner. I mean, it is mind-blowing. And so we don't have any additional lap data other than those first 2 sessions, because I was so blown away by the way that the car handled that I just tossed the keys to Adam and I was like, you've got to try this thing. And he jumped in it and he was like, this is the easiest car to just jump in and drive fast, other than maybe a Spec Miata that I've ever driven. And then the test that you guys don't care about at all, I'm sure, is the fuel economy test on the highway with the cruise control set at 78 miles an hour. The car got 22.5 miles per gallon with the spoiler, and it got 25 miles per gallon even without the spoiler. So, hurts gas mileage too. Hope you guys have enjoyed our tech article today, and thanks for watching.